Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jerry from Beyond the Rut, and I just want to share with you one of the tools that has been a total game changer for me in the production of the podcast Beyond the Rut. A lot of people have been asking, how did you get your show up to the top 1% of listen notes? How did you increase your downloads? I see you everywhere now in the last 12 months or so. How are you doing this? And the reality is, I didn't do it alone. I did it among a community of people who helped inspire me, encourage me, and all that. But also on the production side, I was able to speed up what I was doing. So doing more in the same amount of time, which allowed me to accelerate things like not just having one episode pushed out there, but also show notes, blog posts, social media posts, idea of what I'm going to do to share this information with people out there who don't just listen to podcasts, but consume content and learn through different media, which made total sense to me as an educational technology degree holder. So what was that tool? Before I tell you the tool, though, which you probably already know from seeing the title, I guess, but before the tool, it took me about an hour to prepare for the guest, an hour to interview the guest, an hour to edit, sometimes more time than that altogether. So anywhere from 3 to 5 hours just to get the audio done. And then I realized I still have to give this thing a title. I still have to write descriptive show notes so that Google will find this on my website and bring people to the episode to listen to. Uh, that's just for Google to do its part or to give a description into my podcast host. So if you found my show on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, you knew at least what the episode was about. And that would take another hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to really think about what was this episode about again? What were the key points? I better go back and listen, although I did just listen to this. And then from there, what are the things to say? How do I draft this, without just throwing a transcript up there? And I know there's some people who do that. Well, here comes this tool, and it's called Capsho. And Capsho takes my audio, so it's AI, but other than other AI that's out there where it just draws from the entire internet, and you're worried now about, is this really my work or is it plagiarism of somebody else's work? Capsho AI takes my audio, so my words, my guest's words, creates a transcript, and then from there creates the the write up for me. So everything that's in there is something from me. It's not pulled from the internet. It's not pulled from somebody else's resource. It's pulled from my audio and my audio only. And so that gives me peace of mind as well. So now I can operate faster. And then on top of that, I'm not going to really get sued because it's my words and my guest's words. And I own those things because of my recording. Let me show off this tool here. So I'm going to present my screen. And what we're looking at right now are my folders. I only have one because I only have one show. And this is what I see once I log into Capsho. When I click onto my show, I have a list of my episodes here, and it'll just scroll through. I've got up to 44 episodes already. So this gives you an idea of how long I've used it, for how many episodes, and so on. I did say it's been for the last year. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on my most recent episode from September 6th at the time of this video. And so it has a title, but that's because I've already gone through this process. Now, if I didn't, I'd see something more like this: BTR 384, Stephanie Jordan, on and on and on. So that's the file name plus some identifiers there. But once you've picked a title, this will show up in your feed. So I'm clicking on that. You'll see here that I have my title, I have my write-up, not a whole lot of formatting to it, but this is based off a template that I have saved. So there's a generic template, and then I added some components, and then I click this button up here that says Save Layout as Template. So on my account, I have a template that's called the Beyond the Rut template. Oh, my cat Bradley is meowing at me. He wants attention. Anyway, that's not important. We're talking about this screen here. So this is the write-up I get from my template. I get a title, and let me show you what happens when I click on title. It gives me options here. So I have something like 5 different options to choose from. Embrace audacity and reach new heights. Break free from your rut and thrive. The 4 principles of the bold framework. What are some other ones here? Discover your path to personal growth and fulfillment. Overcome obstacles and live an audacious life. The bold framework explained. And you'll see my final title is really an adaptation of this one. So this was the one out of the 5 I went with. I wanted something shorter, and just using another tool called Keywords Everywhere, I was able to hone in and say, people do look for the phrase, live your best life. So I put that into the final title. I loved Audacious Life because it tied in with Audley Stevenson's brand, the Audacious Living podcast. And then he had a framework he talked about predominantly through this episode. So, what is the bold framework? We're going to talk about that in the show. So that was the title I ran with. And then you see where I adapted it with my own little tweak. You don't have to take the AI verbatim. There is a little bit of work here, but I'll tell you, using this tool took a 1.5 hour to 2 hour process and whittled it down to about 10 to 15 minutes for me, on average, about 10 minutes. So because of this template, now I'm proofreading. I just read through this thing and I'm like, okay, I like this. I like this. Let me change this paragraph here. There are too many chapters. Let me narrow it down. I like how it's worded. Well, actually, this one, not quite what we talked about. I'll remove stuff, change stuff, that kind of thing. And then I have 3 additional paragraphs here that are called value details. That's this icon here. So that's how that got added. And I've got options here. So you see all 3, and I used all 3 because I wanted to have some SEO rich, search engine optimization rich content. So that's where I went to get that. Some other tools that are on here, but let me switch over now and show you the finished product on my website. And that is, hold on a sec, guys. There it is. I moved something around on my screen and lost it for a sec. But here we go. Now I can show you the finished product. So this is the finished product on the left-hand side. I don't know why, guys. Right now, my website decided it's going to give 50-50 to the widgets on the side here, but that's not important. Left side, you got my graphic. It's got the title in there. So this is what I use on social media to share it as well. And then there's my title, and it's BTR episode number 385. There's the first sentence from that write up that you see in my Capsho. Then I've got my episode embedded. And then I added this here because I didn't have an H2 header. But again, live your best life. That was the phrase. I wanted that in the first H2 header that I had. There it is. And then in this episode, you'll be able to, the objectives are there. My special guest, that was just a bold header. Then I made chapters in H2. I made gain insights. So then I made some H3 headers out of those value posts. So the first sentence from each of those 3 paragraphs, the value details, I turned into H3 headers. And then I've got my bio here of my guest, which I pulled from my guest's website, but I also used a blend of what Capsho gave me. I put those together and I had a slightly unique bio for my guest. And the rest are just common things I have, resources to reach my guest, other related episodes, and connect with me. So those are usually copy and paste from there. And then how did I get my transcript? Well, that came from, guess where? Capsho. You're right. Uh, so, uh, basically, if you are, you know, using your transcript for SEO or using it for the hearing impaired, Capsho can prepare that for you, and uh, I'll show you where to get that. Over here on the left-hand side, so here this is just the title and description part of what Capsho does. That's just one thing that Capsho does here. So when we are looking at um, other tools, there we go. I went blank there, guys. Sorry about that. We're looking at other tools on Capsho. This is what we're selected here right now, but let's say I want social media. I click on this little bubble here, and it gives me options for Facebook. And so I could do promotional posts, gives me options here like that. There's 3 different ones to choose from. I could do an engagement type of post on Facebook. And again, it gives me script to choose from here. Here's another one. And if I like any of it, I just click add, puts it into the workspace on the right. And then educational posts. are more, I just want to give you information. So promotional is, hey, I got a new episode. Here's why you should listen. Engagement posts are, hey, what do you think about this topic? Where have you run into this in your life? And education posts, which are, hey, here's some facts from an interview I recently did with my guest. Cool thing about the educational posts is that I can take that content and reformat it into graphics, like those carousel graphics you see on Instagram or LinkedIn. This is a great place to get that content. And now you got a 5 to 7 slide deck you can share on your social media in a very nice, clean way. But I also have, LinkedIn uh, prompts as well. Same for, so promotional, engagement, and educational posts. And I got usually about three to choose from. And you could do a blend of all those. If you like to post on YouTube, there's the same thing for your YouTubes and YouTubes for your YouTube videos, your shorts, and so on. Same three categories: promotional, engagement, and educational. If you're on Twitter or anything like Twitter, you can use these as well. Now, that's not all, guys. I also use Capsho to take my content and give me prompts for my emails. So, what's my heading? It gives me different ideas for my heading or subject line. And then from there, what kind of email do I want to write? Do I want to write a promotional email or an engagement email? Sometimes I'll go to the prompts from social media and I'll use that for my email. So you're not bound or restricted to whatever was shown in that category. That's what you got to use. So if you see something in one area and you know that'll work well as your email post, use it. I typically will choose either Facebook or LinkedIn because I only focus on LinkedIn or Facebook as my social media platforms, you know, believing in that less is more. And then I'll post occasionally on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, but only if I see what I've used for LinkedIn and Facebook can be repurposed quickly into those. So I'm not stressing over, I got to have the biggest Twitter following or anything like that. I'm looking for engagement and growth on LinkedIn primarily, and then also doing the same on Facebook. So that's my strategy. You may have a different one. You could still leverage Capsho for you. Transcript, because I mentioned that a long, long time ago. Where do I get my transcript? I just click on this button here on the left that says transcript, and it gives me options here. I can have it by speaker or by time, since almost all my episodes, or at least more than half, are with a guest. I have my transcript by speaker, and I get to label speaker A and speaker B as myself or my guest. So that's there. And then I can either export the transcript either to my Google Drive, download it as a doc file, or as an SRT file. You also have a third option, which I do because I'm just old school. I just click somewhere in this space. I hit Command A or Control A if you're on a PC. That highlights everything, and then Command C or Control C to copy it. Then I open up a text file, paste it there. Now I have it as a text file that I'll put as either an attachment to my show notes, or I'll just copy and paste the whole thing. So I've got that option. I could also write a LinkedIn article. Again, I'll either repurpose a blog post because it does that too. Blog posts, what? Listicle, how-to blog, Q&A blog, expert blog, and there's so much more. It's so cool. And I just clicked something because I got click happy. Sorry about that. I'm gonna pause until this thing undoes itself. It undid itself. Awesome. So there's that. And I haven't even played with everything because they just recently upgraded to this whole creative studio for the pro level, the higher level. And this takes my same video or audio and identifies for me the snippets, the sound bites that would be very useful to have. So if I want to go back into my show and get myself a good 20 to 30-second clip, I do now know that around 25 minutes in, 26 minutes in, I've got this section. And I don't have to use the whole thing. It just helps me find it. And then boom, it also will generate scripts for me so that I can, do an intro before the clip and then an outro after the click with a call to action. All that is available here. And potent quotables. So, what are cool things that my guest or myself said? And I'll share this with my guest. Or if you've seen me put some quote graphics out there on my social media, this is where I'm getting those ideas from. That my guest said something really cool, but I couldn't remember it verbatim. Boom, Capsho found it for me, and there it is. So those are the tools that's one tool I've used that has completely changed my game. And uh and again, it took 90 minutes, a 90-minute process, almost a 120-minute process, and it cut it back down to about 10 minutes, no more than 15 minutes. Depends on how picky I get. And then not only that, I now have anywhere from 80 to 110 minutes freed up to do all the other things, graphics. I can now do video clips. I've never, and I use a different tool for that, and I'll show you guys that later. I can, write blog posts by repurposing what I've got. So I take that one episode and then repurposed it now into social media posts, long form posts, clips, infographics, you name it. And I just love it, guys. If you like this little review of mine, I just love it because for just a few $100, I essentially have a robot as my virtual assistant. And then when I do get to a point where I can hire a virtual assistant, guess what tool I'm going to hand off to that virtual assistant? Yes, Capsho, because that's going to speed up that virtual assistant's process so that that virtual assistant can do even more things that drive the needle forward for Beyond the Rut and BTR Impact. So there you have it. I've got the link there. If you want to try this out for free for a couple of weeks, Capsho has this promo that they're giving away. So beyondtherut.com/Capsho, get signed up, try it out, test drive it, ask them questions. And if you really want some support, upgrade to their community. It's at the highest level. So the Capsho Collective, amazing group of folks, people in the marketing industry show up. They've really helped me hone in, simplify. Again, I keep saying less is more. And when I do the less, it's the more impactful things that fit my work schedule as a solo independent podcaster. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found value in it. If you want to listen to episodes of Beyond the Rut, just go to beyondtherut.com or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, search Beyond the Rut. And until we meet again, go live life beyond the rut. Take care.